They never come with tanks. They never come with warships or fighter jets. The West has discovered a much cheaper, much cleaner way to remove any African leader who refuses to bow. They just need one person close enough to the president. One handshake away, one prayer row behind, one bullet from a friend. That is how Patrice Lumumba died, handed over by Joseph Mobutu, the same young officer he had promoted to army chief just months earlier. That is how Thomas Sankara died, gunned down by Blaise Compaoré, the childhood friend who grew up eating from the same plate. The man Sankara called brother and refused to arrest even when warned. That is how Muammar Gaddafi died, betrayed by people who once swore allegiance, dragged through the streets while the West watched on live television and cheered. The pattern is older than independence itself. Any leader who says Africa's resources belong to Africans gets marked. Any leader who kicks out foreign military bases gets hunted. Any leader who refuses the CFA franc, refuses IMF poison loans, refuses to sell gold for pennies. That leader does not grow old. Today, that same ancient death sentence hangs over one man, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, president of Burkina Faso, the most hunted African leader alive. 18 confirmed assassination attempts and coups. 18. Not 1, not 5, 18. Most world leaders would have been in a coffin after the second. Traoré is still walking, talking, leading, smiling. The most recent plot was colder than ice. Foreign intelligence services didn't hire random mercenaries this time. They went straight to the inner circle, straight to the one human being who stands 3 steps behind the president every single day, his personal bodyguard. They met him in secret. They put the offer on the table like Satan showing Jesus all the kingdoms of the world. $5 million United States dollars in cash, brand new passports for him, his wife, children, parents, siblings, the entire bloodline, a villa in Europe or America, private schools, healthcare, safety forever. All he had to do was one tiny act of betrayal. Wait for the moment President Traoré goes into sujood during prayer. Wait until his forehead touches the ground, until his eyes are closed, until he is having the most private conversation a Muslim can have with his creator. Then pull the trigger. Imagine the scene they painted for him. Friday prayer. Thousands of citizens. Traoré in simple white thobe, leading the nation in submission to Allah alone. Head bowed, hands tied, heart wide open. And the man whose entire existence is to protect him raises a pistol to the back of his head. $5 million is not just money in Burkina Faso. It is dynastic wealth. It is buying entire villages, building compounds, sending 100 children to university abroad. 99.9% of human beings on earth would have said yes. But this bodyguard is the 0.1%. He looked the foreign agents dead in their eyes and asked, one question that will be taught in African schools one day. Will your $5 million make me a king in your country when your own children will still call me a dirty African and spit on my face? The room went silent. He rejected the money. He rejected the passports. He rejected the fake future they were selling. He walked out, went straight to President Traoré, and exposed the entire plot. That single act of loyalty is the only reason Ibrahim Traoré opened his eyes the next morning. Today, the whole continent is calling this nameless warrior Traoré's shield. His real name is classified for his protection, but his words are traveling faster than the internet. From village radios in Mali to WhatsApp groups in Kenya, from universities in Ghana to markets in Zimbabwe, everyone is repeating the same sentence. He turned down $5 million because he refused to be a slave with money. Now let us look at the other side of the mirror. The presidents who have ruled for 30, 40, 50 years, the ones who turned national treasuries into personal ATMs, have never faced even one serious, Western-backed assassination attempt. Paul Biya has been in power in Cameroon since 1982, 42 years. Teodoro Obiang has been in power in Equatorial Guinea since 1979, 45 years. Their countries are among the poorest on earth. Their families are among the richest. The West calls them stable partners and protects them like crown jewels. Why? Because they do exactly what they are told. They sell oil for pennies. They keep French military bases. They accept CFA francs printed in France. They sign every contract Paris and Washington put in front of them. In return, they are allowed to steal as much as they want, rig every election and rule until they are 90. But the moment a leader stands up and says, "This gold is for Burkina Faso, not Paris," suddenly he becomes a dictator who threatens democracy. And the assassination clock starts ticking. Sankara tried it. 4 years later, he was dead. Lumumba tried it. 6 months later, he was tortured and shot. Gaddafi tried it. NATO bombs fell and he was sodomized with a bayonet on camera. Traoré is trying it right now. 18 attempts and counting. Real dictators survive by sharing the loot. They steal billions and give millions to every general, every minister, every bodyguard. Everyone eats so nobody betrays. Traore refuses to steal even 1 franc from his people, so he cannot buy that kind of fake loyalty. That is why betrayal keeps coming from inside. But a new wind is blowing. A generation that grew up watching these stories on YouTube and TikTok is saying, never again. Young soldiers are refusing envelopes. Students are sleeping outside the palace to form human shields. Farmers are ready to march with machetes before they let another revolution be murdered. One loyal bodyguard just proved that a single man of principle can stop the entire imperialist machine. If Sankara had one man like this in 1987, the upright man would be 76 years old today, still riding his bicycle through Ouagadougou. If Lumumba had one real brother in 1960, Congo would be the richest country on earth instead of the most plundered. History is watching Burkina Faso in real time. 18 attempts have failed. The 19th is already being planned. But this time the people are wide awake. This time the shield is not one man. The shield is an entire nation that has decided, we will protect our own. Traore said it himself. Burkina Faso is no longer a democracy. It is a revolution. And revolutions are not killed by money. Revolutions are killed only when the people agree to sell. That bodyguard looked $5 million in the face and said, keep your money. My dignity is not for sale. In doing so, he reminded 300 million young Africans that not every black soul comes with a price tag. The revolution will not be bought. The revolution will not bow. The revolution is now guarded by millions, who would rather die standing than live on their knees. Vive Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Vive the unknown soldier who refused $5 million. Vive the new Africa that is finally learning to protect its kings. The next attempt is coming, but this time we are the shield. Why do all the real African giants die the same way? Not on the battlefield, not by a foreign invasion you can see on television. They die quietly, suddenly from a bullet fired by the person they trusted most. The person who stood right behind them in prayer. The person who called them brother the night before. That is the West's deadliest and cheapest weapon against Africa. Betrayal from the inside. Patrice Lumumba was betrayed by the same young officer he personally promoted to army chief. Joseph Mobutu. Thomas Sankara was murdered by the man he grew up with. The man who ate from the same plate. The man whose father was raised by Sankara's own father. Blaise Compaoré. Muammar Gaddafi was sold by people who once kissed his hand and swore eternal loyalty. The pattern is older than most of our countries. Any leader who dares to say, Africa's resources belong to Africans, gets marked for removal. Any leader who kicks out French or American military bases gets hunted. Any leader who refuses the CFA franc, refuses IMF loans with poison conditions, refuses to sell gold and uranium for pennies, that leader does not live long. Today, that same death sentence is hanging over one man. Captain Ibrahim Traoré, President of Burkina Faso, the most targeted African leader still breathing. 18. Let that number sink in. 18 confirmed assassination attempts and coup plots. 18 times death knocked on his door and he opened it, looked it in the eye and said, not today. Most presidents don't survive attempt number 1. Barack Obama survived 0. Emmanuel Macron survived 0. Joe Biden survived 0. Ibrahim Traoré has survived 18 and is still leading his country. The most recent plot was colder than anything we have ever heard. Foreign intelligence agencies didn't waste time with mercenaries or proxies this time. They went straight to the inner circle, straight to the one human being on earth who has closer access to the president than his own shadow, his personal bodyguard. They arranged a secret meeting. They sat the bodyguard down and made the offer like the devil himself. 5 million United States dollars in untraceable cash, brand new passports and full citizenship for him, his wife, his children, his parents, his brothers, his sisters, the entire family tree, a mansion in Europe or North America, private schools for the kids, lifetime health care, a life where money would never be a problem again. All he had to do was one small, quiet thing. Wait until President Traoré goes down in sujood during prayer. Wait until his forehead touches the prayer mat. Wait until his eyes are closed and he is speaking directly to Allah. Then pull the trigger. Imagine the picture they painted for him. Friday prayer. Thousands of ordinary citizens surrounding their leader. Traoré in simple white clothes, calm, humble, leading the prayer like he always does. Head bowed, hands tied, completely exposed, completely trusting. And the man whose entire life mission is to protect him raises a pistol to the back of his head. $5 million is not just money in Burkina Faso. It is the kind of money that buys entire villages. builds compounds, sends 100 children to the best universities abroad, removes every worry for 10 generations. 99.9% of human beings on this planet would have said yes. But this bodyguard is the 0.1% that Africa has been praying for. He stared the foreign agents in the eyes and asked one question that destroyed their entire plan. Will your $5 million make me a king in your country? When your own sons and daughters will still look at me, call me a dirty African, and spit on my face? The room went dead silent. He rejected the money. He rejected the passports. He rejected the fake paradise they were selling. He walked out of that meeting, went straight to President Traoré, and exposed every detail of the plot. That single act of loyalty is the only reason Ibrahim Traoré is still alive today. Across the continent, people are calling this nameless warrior Traoré's shield. His real name is hidden for his own protection, but his words are spreading faster than wildfire. From village radios in Mali to WhatsApp groups in Nigeria, from university campuses in Ghana to markets in Zimbabwe, every young African is repeating the same line. He turned down $5 million because he refused to become a rich slave. Now look at the other side of the coin. The presidents who have ruled for 30, 40, 45 years, the ones who turned their nations into personal piggy banks, have never faced even one serious, Western-backed assassination attempt. Not one real coup. Not one sanction that actually hurts. Paul Biya has been in power in Cameroon since 1982, 43 years and counting. Teodoro Obiang has been in power in Equatorial Guinea since 1979, 46 years and counting. Their people survive on less than $2 a day while these men and their families own palaces in Paris, yachts in Monaco, and private jets with gold-plated toilets. The West invites them to G20 summits and calls them reliable, strategic partners. Why? Because they obey perfectly. They sell oil, uranium, cobalt, timber, diamonds for nothing. They keep French and American military bases on their soil. They accept CFA francs printed in France. They sign every contract handed to them. In return, the West turns a blind eye while they steal everything that isn't nailed down. But the second a leader stands up and says, "This gold belongs to the children of Burkina Faso," the second he expels French special forces, the second he starts refining his own gold inside his own country, the second he tells the IMF, "Keep your loans and your conditions," suddenly he becomes an authoritarian who threatens democracy. And the assassination attempts start arriving every few months. Thomas Sankara tried it. 4 years later, he was riddled with bullets. Patrice Lumumba tried it. 6 months after independence, he was tortured, shot, and his body dissolved in acid. Muammar Gaddafi tried it. NATO bombed his country, and he was lynched on camera while the U.S. Secretary of State laughed. "We came, we saw, he died." Traoré is doing exactly what they did, and he is paying exactly the same price. 18 attempts on his life, and the 19th is already being planned. Real dictators survive by sharing the stolen money. They loot the treasury and throw millions to every general, every minister, every bodyguard. Everyone eats, so nobody talks. Traoré refuses to steal even 1 franc from his people, so he cannot buy that kind of rented loyalty. That is why betrayal keeps coming from the inside. But something brand new is happening right now. A generation that grew up watching Sankara speeches on TikTok and Lumumba documentaries on YouTube is saying, "Not this time." Young soldiers are turning down envelopes full of cash. Students are forming human shields around the presidential palace. Farmers are ready to march with whatever they have before they let another revolution be murdered in its sleep. One loyal bodyguard just proved that a single man of unbreakable principle can stop the entire imperialist machine dead in its tracks. If Thomas Sankara had one man like this in 1987, the upright man would still be alive today, still riding his bicycle, still teaching the youth. If Patrice Lumumba had one real brother in 1960-61, Congo would be the richest, most powerful nation on earth instead of the most exploited. History is watching Burkina Faso in real time. 18 attempts have failed. The 19th is coming. But this time the people are not asleep. This time the shield is not just one man. The shield has become an entire nation that has decided, "We will protect our own king with our lives." Traoré said it with his own mouth. Burkina Faso is no longer a democracy. It is a revolution. And revolutions are not negotiated with colonizers. Revolutions are not sold for dollars. Revolutions are guarded by men who would rather die standing than live on their knees. That bodyguard looked $5 million in the face and said, "Keep it." In that moment, he did not just save one president. He saved the dream that Lumumba died for. He saved the dream that Sankara died for. He saved the dream that every real African patriot has carried in their heart since 1884. He reminded 300 million young Africans that not every black soul comes with a price tag. He reminded us that dignity is worth more than any amount of money printed in Washington or Paris. The revolution will not be bought with briefcases of cash. The revolution will not bow to sanctions. The revolution will not die because one man refused to shoot his leader in the back while he was praying. Vive Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Vive the unknown soldier who turned down $5 million. Vive the new Africa that is finally learning how to protect its kings. The next attempt is already being planned. But this time, the shield is a whole nation. And a nation of shields cannot be broken.